Welcome to the Echo Essentials podcast. My name is Chris Pekarski, and on today's episode, we have a all-timers. One's really fun. We had local Calgary resident and cross-provincial politician Dillon Anderson in to speak with us because Dillon ran in the federal by-election in Alberta in the Battle River Crowfoot riding, which saw Pierre Poilievre seeking re-election. So this was fun because you'd be like, well, why is a person from Calgary running in a by-election in Alberta? We talked about all those things, including the kind of background, how he got into it, including his education and his recent political experience. But it also details a bit about his connection with the longest ballot committee and what that looks like. So great episode. Let us know what you think of it. There's a lot of interesting tidbits in here. Dillon's a great conversationalist. He loves talking politics. He loves sharing his opinion. He loves giving shout outs to, some of the people that he either disagrees with or agrees with. Fantastic. But before we get to all those things, I do want to give a shout out to our lead sponsor, Source for Sports.
It's almost that time of year. Early mornings at the rink, fresh notebooks and backpacks, and a community gearing up for another great season of varsity sports. At Source for Sports North Bay, we're proud to be part of it all. Whether it's finding your kid's first pair of skates, gearing up for tryouts, or outfitting your team for the season ahead, we've got you covered. Because here, we're not just a sports store, we're neighbors, coaches, teammates, and fans. And we're proud to cheer you on every shift, step, and stride of the way. Visit Source for Sports North Bay at 1321 Fisher Street, and let us help you along your way.
On today's episode, we have a fan of the show, a resident of Calendar, but an up-and-coming politician. We have Dillon Anderson. Dillon, how are you today?
Good, Chris. Thanks for having me on.
It's a pleasure, my friend. So first and foremost, I brought you in today just to pick your brain about a couple different things, but you recently ran in an election, a by-election specifically, one that had a certain number of national eyes on it. What were you a part of recently?
It's called the Longest Ballot Committee. It's a protest against first past the post. And yeah, we ran against Pierre Poilievre. So it was an interesting by-election to say the least. One word to sum it up, I would say, is wild.
Wild's a good way of putting it. So I look at the ballot, and for those who might be wondering, but like Chris, Dillon, how are you able to possibly run in a by-election in Alberta when you're living in Ontario, specifically Calendar? How, why, what? Can you explain maybe how you're able to, and maybe what the Longest Ballot Committee is all about?
Yeah, sure. So I guess first shout out to my agents, Thomas Sukevich and Kieran Sukevich, who helped me get on the ballot. But it's a protest against first past the post, like I stated, and it's really a protest to say, hey, look, these are flaws in our electoral system, and they need to be changed. And what we believe is that politicians have a conflict of interest because they're in charge of their own election rules, and what politician's going to change the rules that brought them to power, right? So, that's what this protest was hopefully highlighting, and no better person to do it against than the National Party leader. So,
honestly,
that's what this protest was.
I like that. I think we talked about elections when I came on to Echo. Would have back in April?
Would have been municipally though.
Yes, it was. No, it would have been. It would have been federally.
Oh yeah.
When we talked a bit about, we had Dr. Tabachnik come in speaking with this thing, talk a bit about electoral reform, and the candidates kind of talked a bit about that. But you did kind of get a sense that why would you change the game if it's a game that you can win by the rules of which are currently created, right?
Yeah, but I would argue that even the NDP candidate in the riding, the People's Party candidate, they had a hard time getting the required signatures necessary. Yeah. Not only because they were thought of that they were part of the longest ballot. Some people didn't want to support that, but it's hard when it's a rural conservative area that, votes conservative and that's all they'll vote for. You could paint a fence post blue when they would vote for it. So, it's really hard to have a policy debate in that area. And so, I look at a local area like Nipissing-Temiskaming, where we're open to new voices, and maybe that's something we'll talk about. But it's something I'm considering running in. So, Yeah, I mean, running on a federal ballot is no small decision, and it wasn't a small decision, and it's hard to wrap your mind around sometimes. Like, why would I run in Alberta? But it's a Pierre Poilievre thing, but it's also a protest against the system, I guess.
It's a principle thing. Right, you ran a principle, and so let's get to the why, but let's figure out a bit about the who. So, can you tell our listeners a bit about yourself, and then in terms of like how what you're doing currently, why you find politics so interesting, and why you decided to do this?
I'm a Bachelor of Business Administration student at Nipissing University. I'll be graduating in the spring of 2026. And starting in the fall, I'm going to be working at Baker Tilly in accounting. So,
hey, there you go.
It's that's my major. So, it's been an interesting few months, but life's changing and it's all good. So
that's very cool. So when you saw this the longest ballot committee, obviously they're against first past the post. Are they at large for a different kind of electoral system?
Everybody has their own perspective. I personally prefer proportional representation.
Okay.
So for your listeners, what that would mean is if I get 4% of the votes, I get 4% of the seats in the House of Commons nationally. So whatever that equates to at the time, right? Obviously, the People's Party of Canada, they don't have a seat right now. The Green Party, they only have one seat. But meanwhile, thousands of people vote for these parties, but they're not getting the representation they deserve.
Mm-hmm. It's fair. That's a very good point. I feel like, especially provincially too, right?
Oh, provincially, that's a different story.
It's a whole different debate.
We're talking about fringe parties like the New Blue Party. I don't know if you've heard of them, but they're a conservative branch off, but they still get votes, right? And so they need their voice heard, and they're not getting that chance.
That's a good point. I think there's different ways we can talk about electoral reform. I mentioned on the show previously in our election coverage, like a ranked ballot system.
No, I don't prefer that. I think it still favors the top two candidates because you got to figure out like a points percentage model that would be fair to everybody.
It's fair. Yeah. I guess what it doesn't truly effectively do is that it doesn't give everyone's first choice a chance as much as it gives everyone's, I guess,
fourth choice,
direction a chance. Yeah. Fourth choice.
Yeah.
So it's interesting because I'm looking at this ballot and I'm curious. You said every person who is under the longest ballot committee has a different take or different understanding about, how electoral reform should go about. This ballot is nuts. So you campaigned in Battle River Crowfoot in Alberta against Pierre Poilievre and what looks to be, hundreds of others? How many people are here?
I believe the last number we got was 214.
214? And a lot of them are independent. Well,
that's the problem, right?
Yeah.
We wanted to distinguish ourselves from Bonnie Critchley. I guess shout out to Bonnie Critchley if she's listening. Yep. She did run a fair and honest campaign. I did get into a couple arguments with her over social media because she was calling us legal election interference.
Election interference?
So I don't know what she means by that, but we are just expressing our democratic rights by doing this. I mean, sure, it made people harder to write your name down, I guess, and that's something we'll talk about later on, I'm sure. But it made you as an independent, and maybe you were at the back of the booklet, I don't know. But, I don't see it as election interference.
I would have to agree, and maybe I'd have to see her criticism in depth, but I would probably err on the side of agreeing with you because I think how is it election interference to voluntarily put yourself forward in the electoral process? I mean, the ballot could be long, but the ballot could also be very short. And what's the outcome of that? Is that a good thing?
We still had to get the 100 signatures, right?
You did, eh?
So, we still had to go door to door. We had people on the ground having to collect these signatures. I mean, they signed. They knew who they were signing for. Our names are on the top of the papers. We can get into a conspiracy theory later if you want, but our name is on the top of the papers, contrary to Northern perspective. If you're listening, Ryan and Tonya. I mean, I don't know what these conservative groups are thinking when they put out blatant, malicious lies.
So are you implying, and feel free to clarify, because I didn't cover this a whole lot. I kind of would have assumed.
Well, it was a joke at first, right?
I would assume Pierre would have ran away with it,
Yeah.
regardless of how I feel about his politics. It felt like a layup on like a Fisher Price, basketball net. Like it should have been easy.
You shouldn't be spending money on this campaign at all.
And he won by a lot, right? So I think out of the 100,000 people, or however how many people who could have voted.
There was 80,000 electors, but only 55,000 voted.
Thank you. And he earned essentially 81% of the vote.
Yep.
He got about just over 41,000 votes.
Correct.
Bonnie Critchley, who you mentioned, who was an independent, ran in second. And she got just over 5,000 at approximately almost 10% of the vote. Now, she ran as independent. Which is
unfortunate, because if she would have got 10% of the vote, all of her expenses would have been refunded.
Ooh. 0.2%.
Yeah.
So did she run on the idea of being like an alternate conservative candidate?
Yeah, she said she was centrist right.
Okay. So we talk about campaigning. What kind of campaign did you do? You said you went door to door. Did you have some? I mean, you had some representation.
I had some people on the ground.
But
so most of my campaign was people I know in the riding, because I do know a few people in Alberta. Jackson Smith, if you're listening, shout out Powassan Voodoo's captain. So, I guess, you need the 100 signatures on the ground. What was your question?
My question was, how do you find campaigning in a situation like this?
So most of my campaigning was done on my Facebook page, which is since now taken down due to election rules. But we had over 32,000 views on that.
Wow.
My social media presence is pretty good. So
hype it up.
Not to brag about it.
No,
but,
you can brag. Go for it.
I like to think I'm good at social media marketing. So that was our main reach, I guess. And then doing these articles with the Canadian Press, CTV, CBC, there's a bunch of them, Bay Today. I got to mention them. They did a great job. So,
How long was the actual by-election anyway? Like, what was the process? And maybe you can give us the detailed timeline of like, hey, I'm going to do this. And then you did it. And then it resolved. Like, how long did this approximately take?
So I discovered the longest ballot on April 28th, which would have been election night.
Yep.
They did it in Carleton.
Okay.
Against Pierre Poilievre.
Yeah, that was a crazy ballot.
That might have been the picture you were seeing earlier when we were talking off air.
Oh, possibly, yeah.
So, I discovered them then, and then I looked them up. I found their social. They're on Blue Sky.
Of course. And
because Twitter's way too
sensitized,
and you can't post news links, you can't post anything. So, I guess to backtrack, I found them, and then they sent me an email. Like, I sent them an email, and then they sent me the required paperwork to fill in. I filled it in, emailed it back, and then had to sign some other things to, verify these signatures were collected legally and blah, blah, blah. And, then we were on the ballot on July 13th, I think.
Okay, so the campaign was probably like 2-ish, 3-ish weeks?
Yeah, 3-ish weeks of good campaigning. I think I opened the Facebook on May 10th, but we didn't actually post a platform until middle of June. So
Well done. I mean, I'm looking at this ballot, and it does seem comical, because
it's hard not to laugh sometimes.
I mean, come on, it's objectively very funny,
yeah,
right? Because there's hundreds of people on here.
If you don't laugh, you don't have a sense of humor. I'm sorry.
No, it's fair, and I think that's the point: is that you're trying to address look, there's many people who not only want to do this but are protesting the idea that you could.
People standing up to use their rights. I don't think there's anything wrong with that.
No,
I think it's important to note. And Kieran, yes, I'm going to give you another shout out. He took the government to court to get rid of the $1,000 bond that you would have to pay to get yourself on the ballot.
Kind of like a deposit or something?
Yeah, it was a deposit to put your name on the ballot. You had to pay this fee. it's unconstitutional. It creates a wealth test. And we don't want that. We want the average Canadian off the street to be able to put their name on the ballot if they so choose.
It's true. And imagine, in our time, $1,000 has changed from 10 years ago, right? Like $1,000 can be a lot for people.
But at the time, he wanted to run against Stephen Harper, and he lived in the riding, so that wasn't a problem.
Fair.
He didn't collect his signatures, but he went and he said, "Okay, here's my paperwork," and they rejected him because he couldn't pay the money and
cash.
And so then he took them to the Alberta Supreme Bench, and they struck it down.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. Interesting.
Yeah.
So looking at the results here, we may mention this off air, but I'll just clarify. As the results validated by the returning officer at Elections Canada, which is the results I have here, you got 10 votes calculated. Sir. And that would mean you were the 5th highest independent, which is pretty cool.
Yeah,
there was a lot of independents who got
high, but anyways,
there's a lot of independents who got like 2, 1 vote,
0.
A lot got 0.
A lot of unity candidates is what we call them at the longest ballot, which means the people united to decide not to vote for me.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of unity candidates on there.
So we talk about like weaponizing the printer. The ballot, you told me the ballot wasn't printed?
No, so what they ended up doing was adopting the ballot so that people had to write the name of their chosen candidate in. So what that means with those 10 votes is 10 people wrote Dillon Anderson on their ballots. So I'm pretty proud of that.
That's pretty cool. That's a good considering. And again, people, I cannot stress this. I'm going to put a visual aid to this. I know, audio listeners, I'm really sorry.
It can be your thumbnail.
This is nuts. There's so many names on this. And like kudos to all of them for just putting their name on the sheet of paper, knowing they're basically just like becoming
because you're getting attacked. You're getting attacked. Like it's not like some people didn't put websites up, some did because. If you do put a website up, if you do put a phone number up, people are calling you.
They're going to call you.
They're calling you. I'm not going to say the word, but they're calling you. They're calling you these names, and I've been called. I'm a liberal. I'm going to make a good prison wife. Like I don't know what these people are. Yeah.
Okay. So. I don't even know how to continue on.
Sorry.
No, it's okay. It's okay. I guess like if you can within the degree of giving them the benefit of the doubt, like we don't need to know specifics, but like the goods and the bads. What were you hearing from people in Battle River Crowfoot? Like when your representation was talking to them, like, what were they talking about?
Yeah, like let's talk about some of the issues.
Sure, let's do it.
So, the wheat board being one of them. Stephen Harper.
The what, sorry?
The wheat board, the Canadian wheat board.
Okay.
Stephen Harper sold that off to Saudi Arabia. And then Justin Trudeau completed the sale by selling it completely off. So what that means is that farmers in Battle River Crowfoot now have a quota they have to meet. And if they exceed that quota, their produce and their like eggs is another example, but we're using wheat for this example. So they have to throw that bread out. So like we're talking about the cost of living. We're talking about the cost of food. We have extra food being thrown in the garbage.
Why?
Because of
the deal?
Regulatory laws that are in place that we have to get rid of. I mean, Michael Harris, I guess, shut out. He was the Libertarian candidate. You can find him on there. 104 votes, I believe.
103. You're very close.
Yeah.
So,
like, he believed in libertarianism and getting rid of supply management and, talking to the farmers, talking to the people that are affected by these laws. I don't agree with all these people, but it was nice to meet some of these candidates, even though it was online, and share perspectives. And, I like to think I'm kind of center to the left.
Sure.
Which, So
when you were speaking to the residents of the area and they mentioned this this issue regarding tossing food away, the agreement with wheat or eggs and produce, was that a big one for them? Like just seeing the lack of optimization?
Oil and gas being the other one, right?
I would imagine,
So oil and gas pipelines not being built, not having jobs, the Liberal government taking away, laying off people from the oil patches, and things like that. Obviously, provincial issue too, but you know, like there's a whole other level to Alberta. It's like a complete. They're talking about separation, and I don't blame them because it's
Really,
in a way, because it is its own separate like ecosystem.
Okay.
You have to integrate yourself into it to understand it, and I guess I can't really explain it very well on a podcast, but like it is its own little place. And from Ontario, what I learned is from Ontario you can't assume anything about Quebec to Alberta to Manitoba. They're their own provinces. So if they want to have a referendum on separation, let them. Don't stop them.
okay. I mean, we talked about it on the show with Tabachnik and Dr. Tabachnik and Dave, our friend and former host of the show, about how like inoptimized and how like there's issues with representation regarding that. But you do make a really interesting point about how.
But at least let them ask the question. It's kind of like
They're asking the question.
City council, right? Like, let us have this investigation. Let us see what's happening. Why are we not being transparent?
Fair.
Like,
It's a fair point.
Yeah.
I mean, it's interesting because like you're a young person, Dillon. I consider myself a young person as well.
Like I'm engaged in my democracy, though.
Yeah, absolutely. And you're getting involved in different ways, and so you're putting your voice forward, and you're educating yourself, and you're learning. And I find it's something that a lot of us will do, like either the bare minimum of, or just do what's comfortable. And you're clearly, putting yourself in places that
Pushing
are relatively
the boundaries,
uncomfortable.
I guess.
Yeah, like brother, I'm not putting myself on a ballot with 200 people here for a chance to take a piece out of Pierre Poilievre.
I can't get your email the next time we do this.
I mean, hey, you know what? Like, you have my support. I mean, this effort's commendable, but like, it's got to be. You have to have a certain appetite, right? And I think when you said each province is different, I think there's beauty in that because each place has its own wrinkles and understandings and industries and issues, 100%, right? And I think
Nipissing to Miskaming is different than Ottawa.
Yeah, very much so.
Nipissing to Miskaming is different than Toronto. We have forestry mining companies up here that need support that the federal government's not giving. I mean, I'm not going to dish a new MP because she kind of just got on the job and whatever, but like, we need support here. And we need the funding back in our region. We can't just be giving it out. And I guess I'm talking about local issues now, but we can't be giving it out and not getting anything in return.
Fair enough. So, what would you see being a change in terms of funding in that regard?
I look. It's a little bit outside of our region, but I look at the Thornhill cheese factory that closed.
Yeah.
That employed a ton of people.
Yep.
And it employed. It gave us something to be proud of as a region, as Northern Ontario.
Best cards in the land.
I love that place. So, like, I look at places like that closing. I look at, how North Bay's kind of become a homeless hub. And what can we do provincially and federally to change that?
How can we support those people?
Because not by doing nothing or by giving them money, that doesn't give them the resources necessary to get out of their situations.
Fair point. It's a fair point. I think, and we just talked to Mayor of West Nipissing regarding, representation and needs of the community. Every community has. We could
get into that too. I wasn't going to argue with the mayor, but like their ward system is flawed, man. And I talked to.
You know what? Go for it. I'll let you cook.
I talked to people about even around the area. Like I talked to people about how they're not being represented by municipal governments. I ran for council and calendar in 2022, and I'm considering wherever I'm going to be running in 2026 because that's when it will be.
Yep.
But people need to engage in their democracy. They need to watch the YouTube meetings. They need to, because without that, you're just going to select the same people, and they're going to do the same things. So. It's like I look at, I don't know if you saw the story on Bay Today this morning, but the New North District School Board and how they had to completely pretend the meeting didn't happen because they didn't follow bylaws.
Yeah.
It's the simplest thing to follow, and you can't follow your own bylaws.
Yeah, that was tricky because I read that article and I read the pre-articles leading up to that because, like, I clearly live on like our local media cycle for the show. Yeah. I try to be educated, and I'm never perfect. And I have a bit of experience working with school boards locally, not the Near North one.
Yeah,
but I do understand a bit of how that system works.
Communications person, eh?
That's right. I was the communications person for the Catholic District School Board.
Yeah.
And so I know how that system works, and I know it's tough, but it is like it's very like system-based, and you have to kind of follow the ways in which it works. And from my understanding,
you have to read these packages.
Yeah, and there's
packages of information.
Yeah, and I know a lot of those trustees do a ton of those readings.
Oh yeah,
So I was when I read this, I was like, okay, there's clearly some push and pull giving here.
But like somebody that I don't know what Jay Aspin finished, but he wasn't nowhere near being elected at the time. So Jay, if you're listening, I mean, I like you as a person, but like. People decided that Jay Aspin wasn't the person at the time, right? So should we be going to by-elections now? Because, I mean, they cost more money, but at least people's voices are being heard. That was my slogan on my municipal campaign, was your voice.
Yeah.
And so it's your voice that needs to be heard at the table. And by appointing people, you're not doing that.
Dear North Bay, you've always been more than a place on the map. You're home to me. This is where I built a life with my husband, raised our kids, and taught in local schools for over 24 years. I'm proud to be part of this community. Earlier this year, my world shifted. After living with anxiety, depression, and PTSD for much of my life, I reached a point where I couldn't keep going alone. Walking into the emergency department at the North Bay Regional Health Center was one of the hardest things I've ever done. But what I found there changed everything. A nurse who made me feel safe, a crisis worker who truly listened. For the first time in a long time, I felt seen. That care gave me hope, and it inspired me to give back by supporting local healthcare so that others in our community can access the same compassionate care I did. If my story resonates with you, I hope you'll consider supporting the NBRHC Foundation. Please visit nbrhcfoundation.ca or call 705-495-8125 to give. Because mental health is health. With gratitude, Tiffany Van Meer.
North Bay's turning 100, and what a time to be here. From the buzz of the Heritage Parade to sunset concerts at the waterfront, the city is alive with celebration. And you know who's right in the middle of it all? Homewood Suites by Hilton North Bay. We're proud to be a part of this milestone moment. Whether you're coming home from a family reunion, planning a gathering with friends, or just simply making the most of everything the Centennial has to offer, our doors are open. Stay in a spacious suite that feels like home, with a full kitchen to cook in, room to relax, and a space to unwind after a full day of fun. Are you hosting something bigger? Our event spaces and amazing local partners like the Grand and Stock Transportation make it easy to bring people together. Best of all, they're just steps from the action. The fireworks, the food trucks, the music, the laughter, it's all right here. Celebrate 100 years of North Bay with us. Use code Centennial to save on your stay anytime this year. Be at home with Homewood Suites by Hilton North Bay. Join the party today at 495 Oak Street West or give us a call at 705-495-3000.
I think it's hard because it's kind of like one of those situations where it's like, well, it's going to cost money. It's going to take time. We might not get people on right for the issues.
But at least let them write in and say, hey, I'm interested.
Yeah. Yeah, it's because I also think too, Dylan, I'll have to go back and take a look at the numbers, but in the last...
Anyways, back to Alberta for now, but...
Okay. Yeah, I was about to say, I think the last little while, I think Near North had a couple other trustees who may have stepped down. So that list on who was after the initial, like, say, 10 or whatever, maybe did change a bit. But it's a good point. I agree that they should, and they're going to be elected soon. 2026 is around the corner. It's the same election process from what I understand.
Yep.
But let's get back to Alberta. Sure, go ahead.
Yeah. So Alberta, I mean, it's such a vast place. The riding of Battle River Crowfoot is approximately 52,000 kilometers. Nobody's traveling that whole riding.
Like, oh god.
Yeah.
Okay.
Nobody's traveling that whole
It's
riding.
52 what?
1,000 kilometers. Sorry, I might have the number wrong.
Yeah, we'll fact check that real quick.
Ben
That's
can
crazy.
look that up. But sorry, Ben, I'm putting you to work and I don't even work here.
That's okay.
But yeah, yeah,
it's a big region.
Yeah, it's a huge region.
So let's talk a bit about what happens now. So do you have any work to do left in this by-election? Obviously, it's concluded.
I filed my campaign statement and everything, so it's all closed up.
So when you file a campaign statement, what's that mean?
You put in my case, I didn't spend any money on signs or anything, so you just put in zeros, you sign your thing, you declarize it, you send it into Elections Canada.
Paperwork.
Yep.
Basically. Are you this is like a side little, little question. Are you a fan of signs for elections? I guess it might depend on the election, I guess. 10
signs municipally.
10?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
And I ended up getting 419 votes. Like, I'm the runner-up in calendars. So if anybody was to step down,
serious? Oh, wow.
I'd step in.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Stay on your toes in municipality calendar.
Yeah.
So we talk about engaging your democracy, which that should be your slogan campaign. Let me give you that's a good one. That's
maybe
a heater.
that'll be the next signs. Yeah.
So let's talk about next. Obviously, you're going to be looking at finishing school.
Yeah, I got to finish school and I got to do my co-op placements. So.
Oh, okay, where are you doing your co-op?
Baker Tilly.
Oh yeah, you said that. Yes.
Yeah.
Excellent. I'm a big homer of Nipissing, but the idea is you're gonna. I mean, you said you're starting your co-op in the fall and you're going to graduate in 2026, which again does kind of line up pretty nicely for a potential municipality election run. Are you thinking about putting your hat in some ring? You didn't give away everything. You don't have to, Dylan.
No.
I don't want to put you on the back foot here.
No, it's definitely a possibility.
Okay.
We'll see where I'm living at the time. I don't know if I have a lot of guts, but watching the North Bay City Council meetings, I think I'd get kicked out of a couple of them just because the way these councillors act. Dave Dale, if you do run, you have my support. So yeah, really consider it because you are you're a wonderful man, and I think your voice needs to be heard. So
there you go. You got a Dave Dale endorsement in August 2025. Let's hear it. Yeah, I think it's tough because like I mean I talked about my time in a previous show with your buddy Matt Schuster about how at the time for me student politics was enough, right? And like it was stressful.
Even that's putting your name forward. Like it's hard. Like
it's hard.
You got to engage with your fellow citizens. I'm not on campus. They talked about distance learning and distance education and how they're going to engage those students. I'm one of those students. So I do all my coursework online and in the evenings. So
okay.
And so yeah, it's not easy.
There's space for it, but I think for me that was enough.
Yeah.
Right. And I don't think I have, to quote my contemporary, the appetite or the stomach for it. I'm talking about Scott Clark, to put my name forth in a municipal election at the current space in my life. I don't think it's for me, but I always commend those that do. Regardless of how we align politically or don't align, I think it's tough. I think it requires a lot of, thick skin to kind of put yourself forward and be criticized.
Well, and if you're not going to put your name forward, at least engage in the candidates that are on that ballot. Because, don't just vote for somebody because you voted for them the past 20 times or whatever it may be.
Yeah.
There's some counselors there that have been there forever.
Yeah.
And do they really understand the issues at this point? Maybe not.
It's hard to say, right? I think paying attention to those things and watching the videos, like I really want you. At this point, I'm wearing the same outfit. Like we record this the same day that we had Mayor Rochon in. She made a really good point in that episode about how she'll participate in the actual, obviously the city council, and then she'll go home and watch the tape. Like she's watching the tape afterwards.
Yeah,
and like that's the kind of thing I'm like,
I'd be embarrassed.
She's like, well, I'm watching what I'm doing. I'm watching everything else, and she's taking the notes, which I commend because I don't think I have the energy
When you need
or
to
the.
be accountable to your voters, right? Like,
She's watching.
you have to.
Yeah. And I think that's good. I think if there's anything that we can kind of, and maybe I'm just.
But let me just say,
Sure, okay.
you've got to take the proper channels. We've had some councillors in Callander and the mayor get letters delivered to their home. That's not the proper channels to engage in your democracy.
No.
There's emails. There's emails. There's an address from the municipal office that you can find for your local municipality.
I agree.
That's where you send those complaints and things.
Yeah.
You don't send them to people's homes.
No, do it with a proper civil discourse, I guess. But I forget where I was going here, but I was like, yeah, it just takes a certain kind of personality, to get into politics and to have a vision, to have aspirations, to have, vocations for change.
I guess
it's tough, man.
I guess for me, I was just frustrated enough to say, you know what? Let me put myself out there as an alternative.
And-
because growing up, I took the school bus to school, and we live in a rural area of Callander. Like we live like on the edge of Nipissing almost.
Okay.
So we live in the boonies, is what I say, and so snow maintenance and plowing roads.
That's a big deal out there.
So that and that wasn't happening. And I would call the municipality. I'd call them as like a 14-year-old here. So I'd call them and they'd be like, yeah, we're coming, Dillon. But they wouldn't come. So and then it's like you turn 18 and you're like, okay, then it's municipal election season. It's only $200. Let's do this. And so, and you have 419 votes at the end of it. And you sit there and you
That's
go,
awesome.
I was super close. There was another person that didn't like me and she put her name as a protest candidate. And she ended up getting 300 votes. So if you combine our two votes, I would have ended up on council, but I can't do anything about other people.
How long was the ballot?
In Callander, it
Yeah.
was like 7 people.
Okay, so how many people get in then?
4.
Okay, so yeah, you're pretty close then. Fair enough.
Yeah.
But I mean, like, I think that's a vote of confidence, to use the word vote as a pun here, because, 400 people trusted you to represent them, right? 400, whatever number, 400 plus.
419, yeah.
419. That's saying something, and doing stuff like this and engaging in your democracy and challenging the structures that maybe you disagree with or things that you want to see improved, you're doing just that, right? And again, I think it's commendable. I love talking to politicians, regardless, or aspiring politicians or off-season politicians or people in the political sphere, because
it's not easy.
It's not easy, right? And even if we disagree on things fundamentally, right? And I try to keep my politics mostly out of the show. But even if we disagree on things, just to put yourself
But that's something
forward.
I pride myself on. I can see the different perspectives.
Yeah.
And maybe I do have my own set in my ways in a little bit, but I truly believe I can run as an independent and be an independent. I don't think I have any ties to a political party per se. In certain ways I've considered memberships in parties, but even they require even that's a divisive issue. I don't want to get truly off topic, but that requires
It's okay.
that requires a credit card. For people to become a member of the Liberal Party, the Conservative Party, the Green Party, the NDP, they require a credit card. So now, what are we saying? People that don't have credit but they have the $20, they can't become a member of the party?
Fair point.
I don't think that's right.
I think what might be advantageous in this instance, if you don't want to necessarily align to a particular party, but you want to stand on principle and belief,
Is to run as an independent.
that definitely, but is to definitely make that clear in any election, but to do it at the municipality level. I mean, you don't have to have a banner beside you.
No, you don't.
You aren't a shade of blue or green or red.
But a lot of candidates do, and that's the problem.
Fair.
Okay, so you get elected as municipally, and then the first chance you get, you jump out and you take a leave and you run for the Liberal Party or the Conservative Party. That's not fair to your voters that voted you in municipally.
It's fair. I mean, it's. I guess it depends on the person who elected you, right? But that's a criticism. That's a fair point.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, I think I think it's effort.
Choose
it's
your level of government and then dive right. Like, I focus mostly on provincial and federal. Municipal police, nice, yes, but you get more impact, or I believe you get more impact at the provincial and federal level. So if that's what your end goal is, then you should go to that and try that. Like,
yeah, I guess the pushback, Dylan, and I'm not trying to encourage debate, but I guess I'll just put the other side of the table here is that, like, I guess if someone wants to get into politics, they have to start somewhere.
Yeah,
municipality is
they
often the way to do it.
They do,
right?
I'm not going to argue with that, but it's the people that, okay, you want to run federally, do your whole term municipally, then go to the federal level. Don't do 2 years of municipal. Oh, whoops, I got elected federally, and now we got to appoint a new mayor or whatever the case may be. And no, that's not a shot at our current MP, because that might come across that way. But
I understand.
That's not at all.
I guess it also might depend. I mean, that's fair. I think as a person who's engaged in the process, that's an opinion that you can hold. And I think depending on the needs of the person and the aspirations of the person, that can change. But I think it's not that hot of a take, I guess. I think it can go either way. I think both of them are pretty mild takes.
Yeah.
Like, I don't blame you for
feeling that way
or staying in put. Like, I get it. Like, again, politics is hard, man. It's the reason why you don't talk about it at family dinners.
Sometimes you have opportunities that only come up too, right?
Exactly.
And you got to take advantage of them.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I talked to I don't know how much of the election cards you watched of ours, but I invited all the 5 municipality candidates in.
Yeah, the Nipissing Temiskaming candidates. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. And at one point in time, all of them said yes, and we were only able to get 4. But when we had Gary come in, Gary Keller.
It was the Green Party that missed, eh?
Yes. Yeah. But Gary Keller was from the Conservative Party. We had him in, and obviously I have like a familial relationship with him. He's married to my cousin. Like we talked about how for him it was an opportunity because he's been a lifelong political commentator, living half of his life in Powassan and Ottawa. For him, it was an opportunity for him to get into it because he wasn't necessarily leaving his seat, but he was leaving something that may have been more lucrative or more like free, right? Because he was able to criticize or critique or advise. He put himself in the hat.
Now you're tied to the party line.
He was always tied to the party line, if you know Gary.
Yeah.
Oh, for sure. He definitely had like and again, this is not even a critique to Gary. He's always been a conservative voice, right?
Yep.
But again, like people criticize Gary for being like a quote unquote parachute candidate, right?
I believe he kind of was, but
I would probably agree with you.
Yeah.
I mean, he did have some sort of relationship and claim to Powassan in terms of a property.
But if you're not living here, you don't know the local issues.
It's tough. Yeah, it's tough. So, but what I did find interesting, and this is maybe...
But he did increase, like I got to give him a little bit of a shout out.
Oh, he had a great campaign.
He increased the Conservative vote 12%. And at one point I was worried, because I'm not a Conservative fan, I was worried we were going to have a Conservative member of Parliament.
I was watching the live voting. I was texting... again, Dave Dale. Dave Dale's getting a lot of pop in this episode.
Shout out, Dave. Miss you.
Yeah. I was texting Dave at like midnight, and I was like, man, you watching the numbers? Like, yeah, man, it's getting real close. And at a certain point, he's like, I'm getting tired. I'm logging off. And it was the 12-vote spring that changed from being Gary. He was
I was sleeping at that point. But yeah, I was like...
It was tight.
When I went to bed, Gary was in the lead.
Yes, he was.
And I was like...
Yes, he was.
Are we going to have an opposition member of Parliament? Because that's a completely different ballgame.
Yeah.
Now you're asking your member of Parliament to pressure a government, but they're not required to do anything.
That's a good point, actually.
Like in a way,
different
right?
role.
Like, unless you're putting a formal petition together, asking a question doesn't demand a response. I can ramble about, like, it's got to be on topic in a way, but the latitude of what's on topic is so big that it just has to be like a federal issue, right? So, again, procedure and House Affairs. If anybody has if they're bored and they want to read that, I guess. So,
but I have to give him credit again. Like I mean, I didn't vote for Gary.
I didn't vote for Gary either.
Gary is a member of my family, but I didn't vote for Gary. I won't say who I voted for, but
I won't say either. But
I have to give him credit. He did run a really good campaign. He was boots on the ground. And I know that has like a certain like level of
Do you know if
tradition or
he's
territory.
living locally here now, or is he back in Ottawa?
I don't know. I don't know. I know. Well, I mean, I can't even say that for sure. I don't know for sure. I have to ask him. But
fair question.
fair. It's a very fair question. I imagine he's probably living where he works.
Yeah.
And if most of his job's in Ottawa, I imagine he'd probably be there
Well,
first.
no, just I was wondering if if he's seeking the Conservative nomination again. It's probably a good
Honestly,
point to relocate, because if you want to be a member of Parliament for this area, you need to be in the area.
I think so.
That's something I've learned from Bonnie Critchley, and that's something that she really drove home in this campaign in Battle River Crowfoot. So
good point. It's a really good point, Dylan. I think it is a good point, and like our area in particular is like
there's so many layers to it.
it's a lot of layers. Yeah, good point of way of putting it. Is that like
It's not Battle River Crowfoot, but it's big.
I mean, I love the title, Battle River Crowfoot. It sounds super epic.
Okay, if anybody from Battle River Crowfoot's listening, one answer to the question I never got. I understand Battle River because it's a river, but is Crowfoot just is it like a small village that I missed on the map or something? Like, there's got to be something behind that, or is it just straightly the Crowfoot Plains? Like, I don't know.
It's a good question.
Yeah.
I don't know either. I've only been in Alberta once, and it was Calgary, and then we went west. But
Yeah.
maybe we can. He's gonna hate this. Maybe we can put Ben to work and see if we can look up what the Crowfoot and Battle River Crowfoot means. I'm gonna put that as a
Like,
a
I know
meat on
what
the
the
stew
Battle
here.
River is because it's Battle River, but yeah.
So we'll look that up. But
Okay. Any more questions about Alberta before we are completely off topic? And
I mean, this conversation's evolving, Dylan. I think it's kind of nice that we kind of go ebbs and flows of each. But I think we got most of Alberta out of the way.
Okay.
Because we talked a bit about your future
City
plans.
council?
We could talk a little bit city council if you like. Except obviously, as a listener, you know that we're trying to navigate the subject in particular.
It's hard. You don't want to put blame on anybody, but
Especially with us, like
it's just the transparency element that gets to me.
is that the thing for you? Is the transparency outside of it?
Yeah, like when somebody puts a motion, you could at least let the motion be read before you say that you object. I mean, like, let the whole motion be read.
Oh, you're referring to the last meeting minutes.
Yeah. Like, I can't stress that enough.
It's a quick timeout. Ben did us a solid. Yeah, good Google.
It's up there.
He pulled up a couple different articles here. It says Crowfoot Electoral District. It was located in the central part of the province. It is named in honor of Chief Crowfoot, leader of the Blackfoot First Nations in the 19th century. Even by the standards of rural Alberta, Crowfoot was a strongly conservative riding. Okay.
Oh, okay.
Interesting. There you go.
Interesting enough.
So
yeah.
I'm sure it's like some sort of amalgamation and naming conventions, but that makes sense. Thanks, Ben.
Yep.
Appreciate that. But yeah, I think it's interesting because I thought we would probably hear more about the help me with the words here. The report that was going to come out potentially. I think the earliest it could have come back.
The Integrity
Commissioner's report.
Yeah,
Thank you, Dylan.
Yes, I've had to file a couple of those too. But anyway, yeah.
I think the earliest we speculated based on our findings that it could have come out, I think the middle of August, and we're just past that now. Obviously, August 26th.
Problem is, there's only so many meetings on the calendar, right? So at a certain point, somebody's going to want answers.
Yep.
And are they gonna stand up? They're gonna like, I remember the old days when Dave Dale was covering city council, where people would go to city council meetings with tape over their mouth as part of the Taxpayers Association.
Oh, really?
Like when are we gonna get to that point, right?
I think we're getting there, man.
Where people are actually gonna make a ruckus and like stand up to the mayor and ask him, because something needs to be answered. We can't just go on with with the status quo, I guess. Like, we're getting to the point where we're making national headlines. So when is it going to be enough? And I was reminded of it this morning because it was on CTV again this morning. Like, when is it going to be enough when the OPP, somebody steps in and says something was done wrong here and you need to have an open meeting about it?
Yeah. I mean, there's been some organized, I won't say protests, but activity.
Outside, but nothing on the inside to actually like.
True. I don't know if there's a bylaw around that, but they definitely were ruckus. They were clapping and applauding people.
There is a bylaw against it, but at some point, again, going back to protest, at some point you need to push the boundaries. Maybe spend, take a fine, whatever it is, to, make it loud enough so that people can actually hear.
Hard to comment. I think it's interesting because we've talked about it on the show now for months that this is going to be the story of the year for us.
Oh, for sure. It's going to be the story of the year for the entire region, I think.
It kind of feels like it, and I know that's kind of like navel gazing. It feels like we're looking inward and looking at our own problems.
Oh, we're looking at a biased perspective, maybe.
Possibly, but it would be hard to argue that. I honestly, as I said this before, I don't think it's about the $16,000 number. It's not about the money.
Number. It's about actions. Actions speak louder than words, right? So if I'm constantly going into closed door meetings, what does that show to the public?
It also potentially, and I'll speak as a form of function. I get certain things that have to be behind closed doors, and
obviously, yeah. If I'm firing an employee, then yeah, it needs to be behind closed doors.
But it does leave the interpretation to the audience, right, or the public.
What happens in a closed door meeting? Nobody knows unless you're in that room.
It's true. It's true. I think it's gonna be interesting. I mean, we've been following it closely. You clearly are following it closely, Dillon.
As not even a resident of the city. I mean, I'm not. Yeah. And I don't pay taxes in North Bay, so...
You got a school in North Bay, though.
I do, and it affects the whole area because now Calendar's got a close eye on us. What are we spending? What are we... And now people are requesting calendars, income statements and stuff like that. So, people are looking at those things more closely.
People are watching and people are reading and people are listening. And I think it sounds really, I don't know, needlessly cheery, I guess is the wrong way of phrasing this. But if the attention on this produces progress or positive results or learning lessons.
Which I hope it will.
If in that instance, does the water not raise all, boats?
It does.
So maybe it'll, let's take Calendar, for example, right? I don't think I have to take a look back. We've done a lot of councillors.
I've never seen Mayor Rob Noon or Jordy Carr on your show.
Maybe we will. But it's a Calendar council looks at this and like, okay, there's things that we can learn here. If not for the betterment of function, if not for the betterment of the community, that okay, here's how we can work in terms of procedure and policy. Maybe they can change things. They'll be like, okay, maybe we change how we report finances. Maybe we talk about how we go into closed door meetings. Maybe there's things that they can talk about that change.
I just think that there needs to be a step-by-step process so that the public, you read that little blurb about under the Municipal Act, it's an identifiable individual, but explain in the context of the meeting, I guess, why were those thresholds met? Because I think that's where the pushback comes from.
Interesting. Okay. Yeah, I'll take a look. But it's
I look at Councillor Jamie Lowry and that's kind of what he's saying is I don't think the thresholds were met.
Yeah.
And he's saying we need to investigate this, and investigations take time. I understand that, and I think that's where the frustration's coming from is because the investigation is taking longer, but hopefully we get an independent and honest opinion at the end of the day.
I don't know the answers. I don't pretend I know the answers, but in the event in which we talked about on the show that report comes back with nothing.
Oh, then it's just a waste of time, and the councillors that put the motion forward look really bad, right?
I think a lot of people are. It's going to sound maybe a little
it is in a way. If you have political ambitions, it's putting your political life on the line already.
Yeah,
because if this comes back. And it's like Sarah Inch, there's nothing here. But you made a big ruckus about nothing. Are the people going to vote you back in?
Well, my counterpoint to that is maybe. Who knows? It depends on the campaign a year. But I think what this might do for people who might be similar or might be Sarah or Jamie Lowry, Sarah Inch and Jamie Lowry.
I have nothing against them, first of all.
Yeah, we had Jamie on the show. We've been talking to Sarah a little bit. is that this might become like a new rallying cry. Like this might actually embolden
Well,
their beliefs.
transparency, accessibility, municipal services, they've always been issues, right? They're always being reinvestigated.
Fair.
Calendar, I look at, the transition from city policing to OPP.
Yeah.
Or Miller to GFL. Like those were some major decisions that were kind of swept under the rug. Something I campaigned on. So like again, it's being your voice at the table, right? And that's what we have to remember.
But I think
at the end of the day,
you're totally right, Dillon. I think you are a perfect example and an aspiring member of our democracy and our potential future politician. Continuing that. If you see something that you want to see change or different, even if it's something like this,
then investigate about it.
Do it.
Write emails. I mean, they don't respond to emails half the time, but write those 20 emails that you have to.
Because that's your right. You can do that.
Yeah.
You can let them know your opinion.
Yeah.
Simply, right? So.
Yeah.
But Dillon, before we get out of here, though, is there anything that you kind of want to maybe say to your supporters in Battle River Crowfoot or Callender or North Bay or anything?
Nipissing,
Sure.
Just remember the name because I don't think this is going to be the last to hear me.
Okay. Very fun. We'll leave that be a teaser.
Yeah.
Dillon, thank you so much. Thank you so much for coming on the show and sharing your opinions, and congratulations on your great effort here in Battle River Crowfoot.
I mean, it was obviously I didn't expect to get elected, but 10 votes is 10 votes.
10 votes, 10 votes, brother. You take it.
Yeah.
So congratulations, and we'll see you soon, I'm sure.
Yeah. Thanks, guys.
Thank you so much for listening or watching the Echo Essentials podcast. My name is Chris Pekarski. As always, thank you so much for listening. Feel free to let us know what you thought about the episode. Make sure to like, share, subscribe. Check out our Echo Essentials newsletter as well. Let us know what you're seeing in the community, what you want to see more of, whether it's out of our content, our newsletters, everything. Let us know. And as always, thanks so much for listening.